morning, guys. I just woke up like not even an hour ago and finished my coffee and wanted to make this video. This is something that I want to talk about. This is something that someone commented on my story on Instagram saying that this is something they wanted to see on my YouTube. So today we're going to talk about waiting on God's timing. So grab your coffee, grab your Bible, and let's get into it. Okay, waiting on God's timing is obviously something that is very hard to do. And I feel like as long as you're human, it will always be a struggle. And so I can make this video and I can say, this is how we wait on God's timing. But I'm human and I will always be human, and so I will never be able to, I feel like, fully wait on God's timing perfectly. So just know that you're not alone. When you say, how do I trust in God's timing? My advice is you have to believe so firmly in two things. First, you have to believe. You have to know that you know that you know that God is real. Like, in order to trust in God's timing, you have to know that God's real. Because why are you going to trust in something that you don't have full faith in or full belief in? Like, you're not going to trust in His timing if you don't even trust in Him. And so that's the first thing that you got to get down, is first get down a solid relationship with God. You know, learn about Him, pray that He would reveal Himself to you. Ask Him to help you know with confidence that He is real. And that's the first step to be able to wait on God's timing. Then the second step is to believe that God is a good God. Like, wholeheartedly believe that God is a good God. And the reason I say that is because when you wholeheartedly believe that God is a good God, like, you understand God is incapable of not being a good father. He's incapable of not wanting what's best for me. He's incapable of not, like, being an active God who's alive and real. And so when you know that, you can sit back and you can say, I don't have to worry. I don't have to do it on my own time and my strength and my understanding. No, I have a good Father who is working, who has good plans for me, and I can trust in that. When I saw this comment from this girl who said, you know, she wanted me to talk on waiting on God's timing, I thought the most of, like, waiting on God's timing for marriage. I feel like that's a big thing in a girl's life, is waiting for that. And that's something that helped me with Riley, because we broke up and I went to college and he, you know, went back to a lifestyle of working a lot, and we went our separate ways, and we didn't want to break up. I didn't want to break up with him, but I knew that God was telling me to. And in that moment when, you know, I had no idea what our future was going to look like. I had no idea if we'd get back together. I had no idea if I'd ever get my best friend back, or who I'd marry, or when I'd get married. I had to trust, okay, I know that God is real. I know that His ways are better than mine. His knowledge is greater than mine. And I know that He's a good God, so His plan for me is good. And so if God's asking me to do something, when I know that He's real and I know that He's a good God, there's no questions asked. That's what I'm going to do. Because He's the one that created me. He's the one that has plans for me. He's the one that prepared or placed ahead of me every day of my life. Why would I not listen to Him? If you get a product that was created, like something that has an instructions manual, why would you not listen to the instructions? The instructions were made by the person that knows how the product works. And the same thing is in our life. Like, why would I not listen to the God who created me, who knows the path that He has for me? Why would I not listen? That would be foolish of me to say, you know what, I'm going to throw away these instructions and I'm just going to try to figure it out myself. If you did that with an item or a product that you bought and you just threw away the instructions and try to figure it out your own way, you'd probably end up with something broken or not functioning the way that it's supposed to. And it's the same thing with our life. Proverbs 3:5 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him and He will direct your path. He will direct your path. But in order to do that, you have to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. I have to trust that my God is real, that my God is a good God, that He knows more than me, that His ways are better than me, that His instruction manual for my life, a life and a person that He created, is true and good and better than anything that I would plan for myself. He created me. I don't know what is ahead of me. I don't know what I was put on this earth for, but He does. So I have to trust in His timing, in the way, His way rather than mine. If you trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. You can't go back and forth. You can't follow one step of the instruction manual but then skip another step. When you skip the steps, when you choose your own ways some days over His, you're not really waiting on God's time. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. In all your ways acknowledge Him. In everything that you do, do it for Him. Do it according to Him. Do it with His permission, with His guidance. I'm pretty sure it says in Isaiah, "For I know the plans that I have for you, declares the Lord, plans not to harm you, but to give you hope in a future." And He was speaking that to someone, but He is the same God today, and He's a God that has plans for us. He has plans for His people. He has plans for you. He has plans for me. He knit us together in our mother's womb, and He knew all the days before, all the days to come before one even came. Like, God knows our lives. He knows the future. He knows what's best for us. And when I think about waiting on God's timing, like waiting on something to come, rather that's you're waiting on marriage, you're waiting on a child, you're waiting on that job, you're waiting on that big thing to happen that you think you need and want right now. Like, for me, when I was waiting on me and Riley to get married, I was waiting on, I didn't even know if we would get married. I was just waiting on marriage. I desired it so deeply. I had to believe God's a good God. He's real. And if He doesn't have it for me now, I don't want it. I don't want something that's outside of God's plan. I'm not going to force something into my life. I'm not going to force this relationship with this person, or I'm not going to force this job or force this thing that God has said not yet, because if God hasn't given it to me yet, if God hasn't made a way for it yet, it's not best for me. And I trust in that because I know that He's a good God. But while you're waiting on something, you're still somewhere. Just because you're waiting on something doesn't mean you don't have anything right now. And something that makes waiting on God's timing better is taking your eyes off of the future, because the enemy would love to keep your eyes off of where you are now. The enemy would love to keep your eyes fixed on what's ahead so that you forget and you look past and you become, what's the word? Complacent? I don't know, where you just don't do anything. He would love for you to be fixed on the things that you don't have and the places that you're not there yet, and distract you from where you are now. But something that helps you to wait on the Lord is to be so present and to say, okay, God, you don't have me there yet. You haven't given me that yet, but what have you given me now? What have you entrusted with me now? What is the influence, the sphere of influence that you have given me now? Because you have me here for a reason. It's really hard to go every day without purpose and to just get up and go to work and do the thing and then go home and then repeat it all over again when you're looking at something else. But when you say, you know what, there's purpose here, and when you find the purpose here, you are fulfilled because you're walking in your purpose. And so you're not wishing away now because of what you're waiting on, but you're actually walking in gratitude, and you're okay to wait because you've actually found joy and fulfillment in where you are now, because you're not just doing it to get by, but you're doing it with understanding of God's purpose of where you are now. For example, in my life right now, I graduated college with an associate's in Christian ministry. I would have loved to get a job right out of school in ministry, but I moved out into an area where there wasn't many job opportunities in ministry, and God didn't open a door, and so I had to step into a job at a restaurant, and that was probably the last thing I wanted to do. I'm overworking at restaurants. I've done it my whole life. I struggled for a while because I was like, you know what, one day I hope I'll be in ministry. One day I'll be a stay-at-home mom, maybe for a season. One day I'll grow on social media to where I make an income on here and I can stay home, like one day. And I was waiting on God's timing for those, and my eyes were fixed on there. And so every day was so hard to get out of bed and go to a job that I didn't want to be at. And I had a moment where I was like, you know what? God has me here for a reason. God hasn't given me that job yet. God hasn't made a way out of this yet, because there's something here that he has for me. And I asked him to show me purpose. And God showed me, hey, there's people at this job that feel unseen. There's people at this job, there's coworkers at this job that no one talks to. There's customers that come in every day that just need a smile or a compliment or some encouragement, and you can be that, and I want to use you here for that. And when I realized that and I started to walk in that, going to work was easier because I found purpose in it and I felt fulfilled. Because God has us here not just to live life, but for a purpose, and that is to share his love with the world. And when you walk in that, it brings you joy and fulfillment, because that's what you were created to do. And so now I'm okay with where I'm at. It's not that I don't want a job in ministry. It's not that I don't believe God has one for me. But it's, okay, God had me in this season for a reason, and I'm not going to let the enemy waste that season. But I'm going to use it to bring glory to God. And it gives me patience for what's next, because God has me here now, and that's okay. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him or submit to him, and he will direct your path. So, yeah.